Hello everyone and welcome to your BG24 News Producers Panel. This is the only half an hour of the week where we take a look at the stories and share our opinions about them. Joining me in a moment are the producers and different anchors and reporters from BG24 News. So, welcome to your BG24 News Producers Panel.
Live local news starts right now. This is BG24 News, live at 5:30.
All right, let's meet our panel. To my far right, we have Hannah Hilliard, who is an anchor and a reporter, as well as a producer with BG24 News. And Megan Gallagher to my right here. She is a producer with BG24 News. I'm the news director with BG24 News. And Madeline Fenning is a general manager, anchor, and a reporter with BG24 News. So these are the best of BG24, I have to say. These are some of my favorites. So the story we want to talk about first involves cameras in downtown Bowling Green. Let's go ahead and take a look at that. Reporter Jason Harper explains.
Cameras will be installed in downtown Bowling Green. Bowling Green police will be installing the cameras in hopes to prevent late-night crime. Major Tony Hetrick says that police will be able to prosecute individuals with the cameras.
We do that all the time now. ATM cameras capture people using ATM cards illegally or something that they've stolen. In-store footage of shopliftings, yeah, that camera footage is absolutely usable in court.
Major Hetrick says that those cameras have a higher quality than the ATM cameras.
Technology has jumped considerably since then, and now we can get cameras that have very good detail, zoom capability. You know, we're able to get a little better quality picture.
The cameras will be placed in multiple locations in downtown Bowling Green. Hetrick says the Circle K downtown is a prime location for criminal activity. Another important location is outside of Liquid Bar. The cameras will be installed sometime this fall. Reporting from BG24, I'm Jason Harper.
So what I think the most interesting thing about this is how much can they do with when they get these, you know, camera stills and the video? What can they actually do with this material? You know, I mean, can they actually really prosecute somebody on that? And Hetrick did say yes, but you know, they had cameras at Waddington Jewelers we were just talking about. So is this really worth it?
I mean, I think that especially if you examine some of the crime that's been going on in the area lately and how, I don't know, uncharacteristic I feel like it is of this area, maybe getting cameras wouldn't be such a bad idea, especially when it comes to protecting a community, especially a community that has a lot of students who, you know, are still babies to certain parents all across the country. So, I don't know, it does protect people if you think about it, I think.
Do you think people are thinking about it, though?
You know, I'm surprised there's not cameras already outside of Clazel and outside of Liquid and outside of Circle K, but I'm glad they're putting them in there. I don't know if people even think about it when they're drunk, though. You know, if they've had a few and they're like, I forgot about the security camera, and they just start going. So we'll have to see how it plays out, if it's really going to be anything.
And you know, even for those people who are downtown and they have had you know, a couple of their favorite drinks and they're, you know, just acting like a silly version of themselves, it's not like those cameras, I feel like, are going to be in place in order to keep everyone walking in a straight line necessarily. It's to prevent the more violent things that go on. And it's not like it's a mall where someone's sitting, you know, in a chair watching a monitor of all of these different cameras at once. The cameras are there if they need to go look at it.
Right. And one of the things, you know, Jason told me after he did this story was that they're able to like pan and like tilt with these cameras. Ooh. It's amazing. It's really crazy what they can do. So I'm thinking maybe with the increased you know, technology involved here, that it could actually be effective.
Well, it's interesting that you say that you can pan it, you can tilt, because that would mean that somebody would have to be looking
like manning them
live, you know, at the camera in order to figure out sort of what they're looking for. So it's not, I guess then it isn't just a camera that's sitting there that's recording in case it's needed in the future, that someone could be looking at it, you know, potentially at any moment.
And you know, this is a national example, but with the Boston bombings, remember, like, someone just I'm sure they had security cameras, but that's how they found them. They had a picture, and then all hell just broke loose after that. You know, someone knew them, spotted them, you know, and it just spiraled from there. And maybe Bowling Green can have that on a local level I mean, hopefully nothing ever comes of the Boston bombing in Bowling Green, but you know, something smaller, and they can address it with those security cameras.
Yeah, absolutely.
It'll be interesting to see how it works out. I know he said it's only going to be within the next, I think in the fall time. They don't have like a date nailed down yet, but it'll be interesting to see if it actually changes anything. But I know there have been some incidents downtown. I don't know if you remember last year when there were a bunch of issues downtown at the beginning of the year. you know, there were a lot of rumors flying around about what happened, but I think there was some violence happening.
There was a gang issue, I believe. I
Yes.
think there was a group of people who came down from Toledo, is what I heard. But yeah, there was some violence going on downtown, and it was kind of scary. But I think something that was interesting is that because we experienced so many rumors, we never really knew exactly, you know, what happened.
Yeah.
So I think something like security cameras can help clear the air to make sure that we know who's committing crimes and who isn't. I mean, because cameras don't just prove who's guilty; they also prove who's innocent.
Right, and you know, yeah, and I mean, I just think if it's going to help keep somebody from getting hurt, it's worth it.
And I don't think it's going to be a issue of like privacy, like invasion of privacy or anything, because everyone films everything anyway. It's with cell phones. Like that gang thing that happened last year was online.
Exactly.
You know, so it's not an invasion of privacy.
Exactly.
It's really just to keep us
People
safe.
get so nervous when you mention the word camera or security
Yeah.
or
It's
like,
surveillance now.
Is that Edward Snowden watching?
Exactly,
You know?
but you know what? This is what I always just want to say is that with Instagram and Vine and Twitter and Facebook and the fact that we all have it mobily, we are the people who are broadcasting the details of our own lives ourselves.
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly.
Putting it upon ourselves.
Definitely. All right, when we come back, we're going to talk about if college students should own pets. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everyone. Now, a lot of people are buying cats and dogs and other animals from the Wood County Humane Society, but some of them are going back. Reporter Brooke Ebersol explains the problem.
The Wood County Humane Society houses local stray dogs and cats. They bring in approximately 100 cats per year and 10 to 12 dogs. While the shelter really encourages and appreciates adoptions, they recently have had several animals returned after their adoption. Animal care staff member Marissa Bajaro believes this jump in returns is caused by college students wanting to adopt a pet before they are actually ready to care for it.
Then it's really sad for the animal, of course, because being returned is just another stressful thing because they were in a home and now they're back in the shelter and they just don't know what's going on.
Though owning a pet seems like all fun and games, Bajaro really stresses the importance of being sure that you are ready before adopting a pet.
I just really want to stress to people that to be prepared for adoption and to be ready for anything with an animal, to make sure that you're at a good point in your life where you can take care of this animal and everything will work out.
To try to avoid this issue, the shelter takes several steps before someone gets to take an animal home. They arrange several meetings between the person and the animal, as well as run background checks on potential adopters. Shelter volunteer Catherine Dunlap goes to the Humane Society once a week to play with the animals and wishes she saw more of them permanently adopted. She also believes playing with them helps to socialize them and do better in homes.
It's important because they don't have a home yet, and it's important to, get them to be lovable so that they can be adopted out to good homes.
The shelter is really hoping to see more cats and dogs adopted into homes permanently in the upcoming months. For BG24 News, I'm Brooke Ebersol.
We love cats and dogs.
That was so cute.
We've been like,
I wanted every animal in the whole package.
They're so adorable. But you know, thinking about those cute little animals and then thinking about the way in which college students live, it's kind of horrifying
Like
to
animals?
think. Yeah. So actually, maybe it would be like, a very good place, a good environment. I mean,
Putting them back in the wild.
right. It could be worse than the wild. Maybe.
Yeah, I
you
think
know?
so.
What do you all think about that? What do you think about? Do you think that they need to be screening people more or less? I mean, it sounds like they do a little bit, at least at the Wood County Humane Society. But do you think they need to be more proactive?
I think it's a process that they need to make sure that the students understand, because I don't think it's so much that they aren't like doing enough, because I went with her and they were telling us they do background checks and they sign all these forms, and they even have like a thing where they can let the animal go home for 2 weeks,
Right.
and it's like a little foster
Experiment.
parent, yeah. And I think that they need to make sure though that student is aware of how much work it takes, because I've seen it firsthand too. One of my friends owns a pet, and it is way more than anyone expects. It really truly is, even though it's such a cute little face.
Right. I had a pet. Everyone at home, I need to come clean about this. We had a cat. His name was Swerve. And let's just say he swerved out of the house after 2 weeks. We found a good place for him, but I loved him. He was so cute, but I would put him in my face because I loved him so much. And I would just he was so adorable. But then, 10 minutes later, I was like a mess because I was allergic to the thing. And it was terrible. And obviously that's something you can't really deal with, but the actual owner of the cat, my roommate, he just couldn't handle it. He was so busy, and the cat needs attention, A lot of times people think, oh, well, the cat doesn't need attention because of the fact that it's a cat and it's supposed to lay around all day.
Right.
Not quite the case.
I think that there are certain students who, maybe we shouldn't generalize that, all students aren't in the position or, place in their life or even maturity to be able to take care of an animal. There's probably, a student or two that has, and I mean that a student or two, probably only like 2 students at this whole university who have a schedule and have a living situation that would allow for an entirely responsible, pet ownership, situation. But for the most part, I mean, if you can't, go to every single one of your classes and make sure that you're always doing your homework, and there's little things that we tend to like doing laundry or dishes sometimes that just kind of get swept under the rug because we're in college. Then why do we think that we need another responsibility like a pet, a life?
Another interesting point of this is we have a dog at my house. We have 6 people living in our house. We have 1 dog, and the owner, one of my roommates, she's great, takes care of her, is perfect with her. But then it worked out in my house, but you start thinking like, okay, you have a pet and you have 6 other roommates. And sometimes the dog, her name's Aria, she's really cute. Sometimes she pees in the house, and I don't want to pick that up because it's not my dog. But we all pitch in. But Natalie's always like, no, it's okay, I'll get it. I'll pick it up. So you have to take responsibility for the dog and for your roommates.
Right.
Style. You know what I mean?
Another thing is that a lot of students, especially ones who live, because obviously you can't have a pet unless you're living off campus, but those who live off campus, there are a lot of apartments and houses that are just flat out, no pets allowed, no way whatsoever. But I have lived in an apartment before where it was a pet-friendly apartment. I mean, I didn't have a pet there, but you could definitely tell that it was an apartment that a pet had lived in.
Yeah.
Right.
Their damage is done. And that's another thing to take into consideration. Being a college student is expensive, and the last thing that you want is your entire security deposit to be taken away because you had a pet.
There's just too many factors.
Right.
Too many factors.
Most definitely. Yeah, and there's a lot of just things that people have to be thinking about and just being ready for that. It's tough. That's all we've got really on pets, but we also want to remind you all at home to be chatting with us on Facebook and Twitter. Our Twitter is twitter.com/BG24news. And when we come back, we're going to be talking about the government shutdown. Stay with us. A congressional struggle to find an agreement on the budget has shut the government down, and now we are in day 5. So you are all covering these different stories. Madeline was reporting on the stories as a reporter. How is this affecting the community? Megan, you had a couple stories.
Yeah, we reported a couple stories yesterday about poor people that are trying to go to museums and things and can't because they're shut down. So one of the things that they're doing is shutting down all the I think it's national and federal museums. So they're all shut down, and then we did a story about how the housing market, it was just starting to go back up, and now it can potentially go down, and some of the people that are taking loans out for these houses, they can't, and they're not going to be able to, and it's really sad to see some of these things that people are wanting and just had plans to do, and now they have to redo everything.
Do you think there's a disconnect between because everyone is always saying there's no Congress isn't paying attention to the regular people. Do you think that there's a disconnect between Congress and the regular the regular American population?
Yeah, maybe, but they have to do what's in the best interest of their constituents, otherwise they're not going to get reelected. And they kind of keep that in the back of their mind, but this whole thing is just a mess, and it's really disappointing that this is what it has come to.
Right, but what do people expect? That's what I don't understand. What do people expect? This is it's like standing in front of a train. You know what I mean? And it's just going to come, and it's going to come because people do not know how to, put something together and figure something out.
Are you talking about Congress? Or?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, and in terms of the government shutdown, everyone knew this was going to happen, and everyone's like, oh my God, this is so horrible. It's like.
And I feel like a lot of those people are the ones who maybe weren't so informed and didn't know what was kind of going on beforehand. Right. I mean, it's interesting that when I was on Facebook and Twitter and whatnot over the past week, just kind of seeing people publish all of their opinions and whatnot, which it's great. It's really interesting and great to see. But what's interesting is that as serious of an issue that it is, and as big of an issue as it is, people, whenever they're voicing their concerns or their opinions, they're doing it a lot of the times through humor, which I've seen. It's, you know, with memes and GIFs and lots of different funny BuzzFeed lists and whatnot. It's just kind of, it's almost in a way, it's great because it's a way that we can kind of communicate to people what's going on and sort of make light of it, but not necessarily make light of it, like, you know, by saying it's not serious, but kind of laughing at the fact that we have a, you know, Congress that is, you know, not nearly as productive as the Kardashians.
And I always try, as the Kardashians, and I always try to like play the devil's advocate in every situation, you know. And I think that's one of the reasons a lot of us are in news is because we can never really make a decision on anything, and we're always like listening to other people's thoughts. I'm like, well, that makes sense. Do you think that there is any argument for people in Congress that are not able to fix this problem?
Well, okay, so I read an article. This gets me really fired up. Politics is like one of my favorite things. I read this article on Al Jazeera, and it is saying that the media is not at fault here, but that we're displaying it as a two-sided debate. That they are head-to-head, either one's, it's whoever blinks first, you know, it's a gridiron. Whereas this is the Republicans trying to get around a law. This was voted in, the Affordable Care Act was voted in as a law in 2009, fairly, the normal way a law is passed. And all of a sudden, they are like, no, people don't want this. When the site crashed on Monday, or Tuesday, the healthcare website crashed because it had so much traffic to it. I'm not saying that the bill's perfect. I'm not saying that there's kinks that need to be worked out, but I personally think the Congress should go about it in a normal way. This is not the way Congress is supposed to go about amending laws.
Right. Are you talking about like the filibuster, or no, you're talking about the whole?
Just the whole shutdown in general.
Well, and I think it's interesting to see people's opinions about what is going on in Congress, because some people are saying, you know, it's not a situation of, like you said, like, who's going to win. It should be a situation of how they're going to come together. And some people are like saying, yeah, like, well, I'm glad to be a Republican today, or something like that. So I think it's interesting to see people's different opinions, and that, like you said, that kind of helps me form my opinion. But I think, if I am going to throw my opinion in there, I definitely do think that it is more of a situation where they need to come together and not who's going to win what. And I think, and that, again, like, that probably is forming some of my opinion because of some of the stories that I've heard, and I think people do need to be taking it a little bit more seriously, because and just at least to become more informed in the situation. Because I know I'm not even that informed yet.
But I do think it's interesting that there's people out there who like never pay attention to politics, and they love to just post stuff on Facebook. Like, what's wrong with these people? You know, and it's like, you really don't know.
Exactly. Your news feed on Facebook is not a news source. That's what I say. Your news feed on Facebook is not a news source, and that's how some people treat it. They look at all these different posts. They see that you know, 9 out of 10 of their friends are on Facebook are upset about this, so automatically they are too. And then they make a post, and it's just a butterfly effect over the internet. So then everybody gets their panties in the water or something. They really don't know what they're talking about.
So bottom line, who's gonna budge?
I don't know, but it will be very interesting to see in the next 2 weeks, because we might default on our loan if we don't raise the debt ceiling.
There are some people saying we should, you know?
Just well, then our economy will just really suffer. So then the public will be in.
You know what? The Great Depression brought some great music, though. So
we have that to look forward to.
Well, that's positive. All right, well, we'll be back with something a little more fun. We're going to talk about BG's Got Talent, some really cool talent to show you. Stay with us. Nearly 20 people came out to show their talents earlier this week. Someone on the panel, Hannah Hilliard, covered the event. She says it was a lot of fun. Let's take a look.
Acapella group 1040 was one of nearly 20 performances to hit the stage last night for BG's Got Talent. And throughout the night, acts included singing, dancing, and even slam poetry. This is the first ever BG's Got Talent, and it is part of Homecoming Week, which co-chair of major events Harley Roybacher says is both good and bad.
It's pretty much like easy marketing sometimes for us to have it such during like a big BGSU tradition week, but it also kind of puts a lot of pressure on it because people expect really big and great events.
More than 30 applicants auditioned about 3 weeks ago, and they picked the best of the best to perform in front of a packed house. Roybacher and her committee have been working on this idea for almost a year, and the goal, to show off BGSU's diverse talents.
So as you can see behind us, like the Swing Society is performing, and not many people probably even know that we have like a swing group here. So we just really wanted to showcase a lot of the students' talents that people might not know about.
Keizia Reynolds is the president of Element, a hip-hop dance team on campus, and she said she is excited to show students her group's passions.
We're here just to show what we have. We have talent. That's why we're here. BG's Got Talent, so we just wanted to express ourselves through dance like we always do.
The panel of judges included University Student Government President Alex Solis, members of the Homecoming Court, and Marge, the union cashier. Roy Backer and her crew hope BG's Got Talent will continue as a homecoming week tradition. Reporting for BG24 News, I'm Hannah Hilliard.
I can't do it.
I can't do it.
BG24's got talent too, guys. Is that right?
It's not the stepping
not
though.
this stuff.
That's not what our
Well,
talent is.
one of those girls was a BG24 girl. So
that's true. Aisha Mitchell.
Who's been both weathercaster and a reporter. Very cool.
It's
So,
very fun to see her up
yeah,
there.
that was really neat. There's a lot of cool talent. I love when we get to do stories like that. So it's not all about like robberies and black tar heroin.
yeah.
You know. So what did you all think about? Tell me about the story. How
It
did
was
it go?
fun. You know, it's homecoming week, so I wanted to go cover some event that we were having to celebrate that. We went to Madeline actually came with me, and we went to BG's Got Talent, and it was great. There was a lot of singing, a lot of dancing. We actually got in right before sound check, so we got to listen to like
and
some
that beginning
behind
part
the stage,
was
behind the scenes kind of thing, which was cool. And I mean, everyone was really talented. There was none of those like awkward moments where someone was really bad and you didn't know what
American
to do.
Idol first 5
Yeah,
episodes.
so it was really cool.
Well,
yeah.
they took the event pretty seriously, right? Like,
Oh,
they
yeah.
auditioned everyone and everything.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I think that's really neat.
And
What was the most unique talent?
probably the slam. Don't you think the slam?
Can you do it? Do it right now.
I don't know how to do it.
Actually, no. I'm a huge fan of slam poetry, and so when I am.
I'm sorry.
I know.
She likes so many things.
I do. This world's great. It offers a lot of cool things. But no, I love slam, and so when I saw that there was a girl that was going to do slam, I was very excited. And doing slam poetry is a very intimate sort of experience as a performer, and that's why a lot of the times whenever someone does perform a slam poem, it's usually it's reserved for an event where it's strictly slam poets because it's more of a community sort of an interest. So for a slam poet to come to BG's Got Talent in front of a wide variety of different students and people and other performers and perform a few pieces, that was very impressive, and she was wonderful, so that was really cool to see.
Very cool.
And Eli Carr was the winner. He sang I Won't Give Up by Jason Mraz, and
my
he
goodness.
was wonderful.
Swoon. Swoon.
I wasn't there, so phenomenal. Anyway, thank you so much for joining us tonight. We really appreciate it. Continue to follow us on Facebook and Twitter, and you can view all of these stories online. Have a great weekend, everyone, and we'll see you in 2 weeks with another edition of the Producers Panel. Good night.